As Sam was doing the documentary Headbanger's Journey, he started to understand how global metal was. And just as I sort of thought about in the Middle East, he was thinking more globally that metal, how global metal is, really is a symbol of how globalized the world is in a good way, instead of all the bad ways. Drug trade, arms trade, slave trade, you know, all the bad, war on terror, the bad aspects of globalization. And so I think that his journey, you know, his Headbanger's journey into the global metal scene is a way of showing just that metal means something to people from so many different cultures. And for me, my little part in this is, since I know the Middle East, was just working with them and helping introduce them to some artists and figure out how metal fits into the larger politics. And, you know, we both knew we were going to wind up here at the Dubai Festival because, you know, it's become almost a mecca for metalheads, you know. And I mean that literally, not that it's replacing the real Mecca, no, but it has an almost religious feeling, you know. When people are here and they build a community, the kids, it's a special feeling, you know. And my friend, one of the best metal artists in Egypt, who was with me at the festival, Sharif Marzaban, when he walked in with me and he said, finally a metal community. You know, because in Egypt they're so isolated. And to be there and suddenly be in the midst of tens of thousands of metalheads from all over his region blew him away. So, you know, that's just, I think, the most incredible part. And that's why I was like, where's Pakistan? You know, where are the Pakistani bands? They're as good, if not better, than any of the bands that are up there.
I was there at the festival.
No, I mean, you know, where's the bands? You know, these guys. So of course I ran to the organizers and I was saying, next year you gotta bring some of these bands to the festivals. You don't think, if a country's that it's going to have an incredible rock or pop music scene, because the two aren't supposed to go together.
Exactly.
And I think in that way music's really important to building another perception of what Pakistan is. But there's the chicken and the egg. The artists have to get out there to then change the perception, but if no one thinks that they're artists who should be brought out there, then how do they break through that? So it's going to take some people, you know, who have foresight and vision to understand this and really help them. And because I think once the door is open, it's going to be an explosion.
Now, you know, the musicians that you met, some of them write songs in English. Now, do you think that actually benefits them? I mean, being an outsider, what do you think? You know, what's your viewpoint on the musicians who actually speak Urdu but they're writing in English? What do you think? Do you think that's a good thing for them?
I don't know. You know, I mean,
being an outsider.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe not the best judge because I love music from other cultures and I speak a fair number of languages, so it doesn't bother me, and I think it makes it more rooted. On the other hand, with at least 3 of the artists that I was with, Haroon and some others, you know, we were thinking of the same thing. You know, is it better? I mean, should you take songs that are out there, even Mizrab, you know, I was just talking to those guys, and this was the issue. You know, in Latin music in America, a lot of artists will take the same track, they'll release it for the Latin market with Spanish lyrics, they'll release it for the white market, the American market, with with English lyrics. Maybe that's something they could do. I don't think it needs to be done, but clearly if you want this to be played in the American equivalent of music,
worldwide, basically.
Yeah, worldwide. But I think in Europe, because Europe has so many languages, you can have a French song that'll be a hit in Germany or Sweden. You know, Americans are much more myopic. They speak English. You know, I mean, a lot speak Spanish, but in general, the vast majority speak English and only English, and they're not going to listen to, unless it's opera, you know, in Italian or German, which most people don't listen to anyway. They're not going to listen to songs in Hindi or Urdu or Arabic. You know, that's the problem. But world music is growing, you know, I mean, so it is developing, but that's still a tiny market. And these are great rock bands. I mean, they could sell millions of albums in America. So I don't know. I would hope they wouldn't have to, but maybe, you know, maybe it might not be a bad idea for some of them to do English versions of the same songs. I don't think they should write songs necessarily in English if they naturally do it in Urdu. But look at Sajid and Zishan. I mean, those two. Right, and those songs that are on heavy rotation in music, I mean, when I heard them, I flipped. I was literally in my house in California, and you know, someone in Pakistan, I said, well, is there anyone in Peshawar I can see? Does anyone do rock in Peshawar? I thought it was a stupid question, but I figured I'd ask. And oh yeah, there's this guy, and I Googled it, and I just saw the video, and I emailed my friend right away. I said, what's their number? And I called him. It was 2:30 in the morning where I was, you know. I called Zishan. He's like, who are you? What's going on? And I explained to him. He's like, oh my God, please come. Yeah, we're here. And you know, 5 days later, I'm in their house in Peshawar, or in Sajid's house playing, you know, sitting playing guitar. And the music is just blowing my mind, you know, and that's in English. You would never know they're from Peshawar. So it depends on if it's natural.
All right, here's a funny question now. When you were with the musicians in Pakistan, did you by any chance, you know, feel, I mean, did they treat you right? Did they treat you with respect? Did they treat you as one of them?
Yeah, no, you know.
I mean, did they have their nose up in the air?
Never, no. And that's the greatest thing for me about doing this book and this album project is that, you know, musicians are a tribe, right? So wherever you go, I mean, I meet, you know, a musician like the Sufi singer Arib, you know. We were like brothers in 2 seconds, you know, we're just hanging around together, and, you know, there's a bond. Musicians can bond. We don't have, all the other forms of identity go out the window when you're musicians together. And that's the model for the world, right? That's why I like being around musicians, and I don't mind traveling around and not sleeping, and, you know, just to experience that.
No boundaries there.
There's no boundaries, and there's no boundaries in a good sense. That can be a bad thing, but there's no boundaries in a really positive sense.
Mark, this was your first time at the Desert Rock Festival in Dubai, and you keep referring to it as, you know, a metal fest, whereas, you know, I've been to these festivals since they started about 4 years ago, and I've seen bands play ska music, punk rock, alternative rock, and grunge, death metal. So why are you labeling it as metal? Why not just simply rock and roll?
Well, you know, for me, why I titled the new book Heavy Metal Islam was just that metal is a metaphor. You know, the whole idea of the book came to me when I was sitting with a good friend in Morocco I mentioned before, and I asked him, why do you play metal? You're in Morocco, you know, what does metal mean for you? He said, we play heavy metal because our lives are heavy metal. You know, metal reflects how hard our lives are. And if he's saying that in Morocco, imagine what it means in Pakistan, where life is, you know, much, much harder. And so, you know, so yeah, I look at hip-hop in the book because it's hard. I mean, metal is a metaphor for hard music that is used as a way of dealing with and releasing the tensions of living in oppressive, poor societies. And, you know, even it's all rock and roll, you know, even hip-hop is rock and roll in the end, even, you know, all the genres. But I mean, the metal is just, it's the attitude. You know, it's the attitude of defiance. I mean, yes, not all the bands are metal, but it's the metal, I think, that defines the defiance of these kids to the boundaries that are being set for them, that are oppressive, that are limiting them, that are part of the overall problem, you know, in the whole region, in the Muslim world and the West. So metal really symbolizes the larger issues I'm trying to look at.
Fair enough, Mark. Well, you know what? We're coming to the end of the show, and I want to thank you because it's great having you on the show. And you know, I hope you're safe wherever you go, and best of luck with your new book. It's called you know, Heavy Metal Islam, which reminds me, can you tell me when are you planning to launch the book?
Well, the current book, Why They Don't Hate Us, is in stores in Pakistan, assuming the distributor's doing their job. And it's coming out in paperback really soon. So if it's not in stores, maybe it's because it's shifting from hardcover. Oh yeah, it's online, all the major online stores. Right. And then the new book, I'm basically, this is the last chapter in Dubai, Pakistan, and then Dubai. So I turn it in next month, and then it's up to the publisher, Random House and Verso, when they put it into production. It's just like an album. You know, you could finish your album, but when these giant corporations decide to actually put it out is completely out of my hands. So I would assume within a year.
Great. You know what? I'm definitely gonna keep a lookout for this book. And once again, best luck with that. And do you have any messages for everyone who's watching right now?
I think as an outsider coming to Pakistan, some of the most spiritual and religious stuff I experienced was with musicians. So I just hope that as this music gets bigger, you know, the whole society understands that, you know, the music is one of the best ways to represent Pakistan, and not just Pakistan, even Islam in a way, to the rest of the world, because it is such a beautiful expression, and everyone I've met, you know, treats their religion seriously and their music and sees them both working in harmony. So And doing that, it's one of the best ways to help counteract these horrible misconceptions about the Muslim world that are all over the West.
All right, guys, that was it, and it was great having Mark Levine on the show. I hope you guys got to see the whole show, and stay tuned for the reruns, because I'm sure people are definitely going to watch this interview again. This is Faraz signing off, and thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys give me your feedback on rockonatthemusic.tv. That's rockonatthemusic.tv. Till next week, this is Faraz signing off. Allah Hafiz, ciao, and peace.